Sonia on March 25th, 1911, at the Triangle Factory building, which I am standing in front of right now. It started on the 8th floor in a scrap bin at a scrap bin that had cloth in it. Firemen don't know how it was started, so we just guess that a person dropped a match or a cigarette. And it was a pretty big fire, so people thought there was no way out because there really wasn't. There's only one exit that you had to get checked before you could even leave. So people panicked and ran to the windows and jumped and landed on those exact sidewalks.
Wow. How come people couldn't get out?
Because the doors were chained locked.
Who chained them locked?
Max Blank and Isaac Harris.
Who were they? Were they workers?
They were the two factory owners.
Why would they chain them locked
because
like that?
Because they were scared that they were losing a lot of money, which they weren't, through people stealing cloth.
What type of people worked in this factory?
Young immigrant girls and some immigrant men.
Wow. Did most of them survive?
146 died, but 120 people survived.
Also, a lot of people lost their lives.
Yep.
That's very tragic.
What is this building now?
Now it is the Brown Building of Science, a part of NYU, New York University.
Were there any other ways for these people to escape?
There was a fire escape that was very poorly built, and the only way they could get through it is running through the flame, which they could if they dumped the water over their heads and put their clothes over their head too, so they could run through the flame without their clothes catching on fire.
So the security officer that was just speaking to us here a moment ago mentioned something about the fire trucks and the ladders. What was he saying?
The fire trucks can only reach the seventh floor, except they were on the 8th floor.
So it didn't really do much good.
No good.
He also pointed out the fire
Escapes
down the alleyway from here.
They have to be better built than they used to, and that is that. Okay,
so
and also
in other words, a lot of really good things came from this tragedy.
Yes.
Like for instance,
child labor laws. Child labor laws started fire escapes and indoor working sprinklers, which the pipes are right over there. Yes. And they have to be automatic, so they'll put out the fire really quickly. They are right there. You will see them.
Really?
And there's also permits for work.
You have to have a good structure, good electricity, and there has to be fire safety.
So do people come around and check to make sure of these?
Yes.
Are there organizations?
Yes, there are organizations like OSHA who check everything, all the permits, to see if everything is correctly built and legal, actually. And that's that, I guess.
There's the building.
Really interesting.
There's the building. And a few weeks ago, there was another tragic incident like this in Bangladesh. And they aren't that different.
A lot of similarities.
Yes. First off, there was many deaths. Second, there were there were survivors. Third, each building was unsafe. Fourth, Not-
people that were working there the same age?
Some and some not. And the age group was a little better than the Triangle Fire, except Bangladesh building was illegally built, and also it had cracks in the foundation.
So do they have the same sort of safeguards in place in other countries like that?
No.
They don't?
Nope.
So they could really learn a lesson
Yes.
from the tragedy that took place in the United States.
States.
You know, from the tragedy, we've learned a lot of lessons and we've gotten a lot better at
Yep.
providing safe buildings and working conditions. Right?
Yeah. And also, now there are some people who actually, well, when the Triangle Fire was going on, they had strikers who were working against to say these buildings are unsafe. We will not work in these conditions. So those people, the owners actually had to be arrested for that when they shouldn't have been because of the rights they have to say that.
Right. So who was arrested? The people who were striking?
And also Max Planck and Isaac Harris, the two factory owners who trained the door shut, were charged with manslaughter.
Wow.
So,
So there were consequences.
except the jury didn't come to a conclusion that they knew that doors were locked, but they did know. But the jury didn't know that they knew.
I get you. So they
So
lied.
So
pretty
they
much
did
lied.
lie,
Okay.
and because they lied, they were not convicted. But if they didn't lie, they would have been convicted and arrested for manslaughter. And
Very interesting.
now we
Very-
hope Bangladesh and other countries like that learn a lesson from that
Beautiful.
tragedy. And I guess that's the end.
Here's
Thank
the
you,
building.
David.